Depression is defined as a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed moods or loss of interest in activities causing significant impairment in daily life. 1 out of every 5 college students suffer from depression or anxiety. Nearly 7% of all American population of adults, as many as 16 million people, experience clinical depression in any given year. Around the world, nearly 350 million people struggle with depression, and each year that number grows. Many people suffer with depression on college campuses, and here are a few of their stories.
My name is Quentin McNair, QUENTENMCNAIR.
My name is Lamar Grooms, LamarGrooms.
When was the first time you ever felt depressed?
I think the first time that I ever felt depressed was probably when I noticed that I was lonely and the only thing that I had was alcohol. That was pretty much the first time that I realized that I was depressed.
How old were you?
I was 21.
Last year.
When was the first time you felt like you may have been dealing with depression?
The first time I knew that I was dealing with depression was sophomore year. Me and my mom had went through a transition when it came to housing, and we had moved in and had some people move in with us, and a lot of my feelings had to be suppressed, and that was the first time where I was going through major life changes, and me and my mom didn't know each other, and on top of that, I didn't feel comfortable enough to express to her how I was feeling, so I internalized everything, and I knew that I wasn't myself.
Can you describe what depression looks or feels like?
It feels like a bunch of nothing. It looks like a bunch of nothing. I think that for the most part, you're just in a state of confusion that you want to get out of. That's what it looks like and feels like.
Can you describe what depression looks and feels like?
Depression almost feels like being smothered in a blanket. And at times, it's comforting when you wallow in your self-pity. However, it's when you're done with it, you can't shake it, you can't get off. So it's like that uncomfortable heat, that degree too hot for yourself, and you don't know how to shake it. What it looks like many different things. With me, I always had a game face. So I overcompensated. I was over happy. I over tried to do things. Depression could also look like, somebody that's sad, but oftentimes, no, it's more people that have on their poker face, and it's really what lies behind the scenes. And to really find or see if somebody is going through something, it takes a conversation, not necessarily a look.
Do you believe social media plays a role in young adult depression?
Yes, I do believe that social media plays a role. We're just surrounded by everyone else's images of success, and sometimes you can get discouraged on your own journey and how long it might take you to get where you need to get, because you see the good part of someone's struggle. They don't show, the blood and the sweat and the tears that it took to get them to the Bahamas or Dubai or wherever they are in that very moment. So we're infatuated, and as humans, we always desire things that we can't have, or the things that we can't have in that moment. So yes, I think young adults, we're still impressionable and we're still trying to figure things out and still trying to understand life. And we think that things are supposed to be handed to us or things are supposed to be instantly at grabs. So I think it can mess up your mind, and it's messed up a lot of people's minds and a lot of people's ideas of life.
Do you believe social media plays a role in this generation's depression?
Very much so. But I wouldn't just pinpoint it on social media. I would pinpoint it on expectation. I think as human beings, we expect a lot of ourselves, and we forget that we're human beings. More importantly, I think we look at other people and we measure our success or our lives to them, and forgetting that we all have to write our own story. I think social media makes it easier to see what you don't have, or to put you in a place of self-pity and self-doubt. So I think it plays a part, but I wouldn't just blame it on social media. I would blame it on expectation.
How do you deal with depression in positive ways?
I think for the most part, I try to think of the things that I want to do and what I want to accomplish, and I read forums, I read plays, I start writing more, because there was a time where I didn't do any of these things, and that time was like 2 weeks ago, but I just started today doing those things. But I'm learning to deal with my problems because of that. I try to pray every day and think of taking everything a day at a time, because when I was thinking about the future every single day, I was more and more depressed about what I didn't think I could have. So what I tend to do is think of everything I take every day at a time, basically, and I read and I meditate and I pray about it and just let God have all of my problems.
Do you personally deal with depression in positive ways?
Well, personally for me, I sing. I love singing. There's nothing that singing can't get me through or hasn't gotten me through. So sometimes I'll sing a tune, I'll hum a melody, and I just try to remind myself affirmations and remind myself what I do have to be grateful. And sometimes I take time to really ask myself, okay, if you get angry, if you feel this way, how is this helping the situation? What about you feeling this way is going to change the situation? And oftentimes I have to readjust and reanalyze.
So I'm doing a documentary on depression, and I don't think it would be right if I didn't talk about my own battle with depression. I've battled with depression ever since I was a little girl. And back then when I was in high school and middle school, it wasn't normal to be depressed. It wasn't normal to talk about your depression. I think it was normal to be depressed, but it wasn't normal to talk about your depression. And I would try to mask it. I was definitely the type of girl that grew up in an environment where crying was a sign of weakness and tough it up. I actually had family members tell me, tough it up, like be a big boy. I'm a girl. So when I got to college, I had to learn that it was okay to cry. I had to learn from friends that it's okay not to be okay. It's actually a very normal feeling. If I could describe what depression feels like for me, depression feels like you have somebody in your ear telling you that you're worthless, nobody cares about you, and why even try, why bother? Things are never going to change. And for me, what it looks like me staying in my room. I'm probably crying. I'm probably just laying in the bed. Don't want to do nothing. Don't want to get out of bed. Don't even want to watch TV. Just want to sleep. So, social media and depression. I believe that social media plays a major role in a lot of depression in young adults today. But I've learned on my journey to not being depressed, I've learned that people are only going to post the good on social media. They're not going to post unless they choose to, and unless they really real. They're not going to post that they're going through things or they don't feel perfect. Majority of people are only going to post their perfect pictures, and majority of people do stuff on social media for clout, for applause, for likes, and that's what fuels people. So it was at a point in time I was like, oh, I'm not getting this many likes, people must not like me. Or that's not even the real big thing, just going on other people's pages and just looking at their life like, wow, we're the same age, what am I doing with my life? And it's really a slippery slope. Now, some of the ways that I deal with depression is, of course, I pray, I meditate, I do things. Well, I'm gonna make it simple. When I'm dealing with depression, I have to choose to be happy. I have to be like, okay, if I stay in the bed, I'm only gonna get more depressed. So I'll get up, take a shower, and continue with my life. And normally when I walk outside, I'll run into somebody, or I'll see a friend or somebody that will make me feel better. And then I'll even forget that I was sad. I just remember who I am and remember that I'm still breathing, I'm still alive, I have a purpose. And I just remember that, there is a light inside of me, and I'm a pretty awesome person, and depression is not cute, okay? And I want to be cute.